Good morning. Good morning. Scrap and Lizzie here in all her radiant glory. Yeah, right. Um, I started. I was doing this here on while I was doing a live stream yesterday, but when I do a live stream, I seem to concentrate more on the chat and talking to people, which is lovely. But I don't really explain what I'm doing. I just kind of am doing in the background. So I want to just continue on this for a little while. This is a piece that I've been really working on for a long time because what it is many pieces of denim that I've sewn together, pieced together on the sewing machine. And all the pieces are of different sizes and different shapes and from different pieces of old blue jeans, and I've just cut them apart into pieces and then I've put them together. And so even my edge isn't real straight or anything, and it's not hemmed or at all. It's just and this is something that has not got a plan for it. There's no finished, nothing that I think it will be when it's finished. It's only going to be something. It's just going to be something. I was thinking yesterday that I might hang it outside as just a yard flag. You know, I've got on the side of the house, I've got a little post that I hang flags on, but the last flag I had on there the sun kind of did it in, so I may hang this up there because this is about the same size as just a garden flag or whatever you call those little flags that that you hang. I I'm getting back in after being away from crafting a bit in my YouTube and stuff for a bit. About a week, I've been kind of busy with family, and so I have to get myself back into the swing. I want to get back into my rut. I'm one that I get in a rut, and that's where I get comfortable. And so I'm getting back into my rut, and although I do plan to go spend some time at my daughter's house. She doesn't live far from here, just a little bit, but she's went through some pretty serious surgery, and now she'll be home. Well, she's coming home from the hospital today, and so and her brother is going to be there to take care of her a little bit, and sister-in-law, my son and his wife, and then of course Jeffrey is planning to be taking care of her too, but and so because she's going to need some care, and it's a lot to put on a 13-year-old too. So although he says he can do it, he knows how to take care of his mama, and so. But so I'm hoping to spend a day or two at least, you know, maybe tomorrow I'll be needed over there. I'm not sure. Not a whole lot I can do, but I can be there, so that's a good thing. I can just be there, and I think that's important. So, but what I'm doing here is now I laid these pieces out last night while I was on the live stream, and I just laid this heart piece here and this piece. I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces there, and I'm just Boro stitching them on in no particular fashion at all. Like this here piece, I went my Boro stitching just across right here, and I Boro stitched this piece on first, and then I'm kind of going around in different directions of just to get the whole thing quilted on there with the Boro stitching. And this is some kind of a activity that you can do that I find to be very, very calming and soothing. And and when you do not have any reason to do it, as far as wanting to do, having say, well, what is it going to be when you're finished? You don't have to have an answer to that. You can just you just this is just in and out. When you're doing a Boro or a Sashiko stitching like that, it all it is an in and out process of getting your pieces put together and get your pieces put together. And I think the look of this is just absolutely beautiful. I have recently saw some images of things that have been done with a little bit of Boro and a little bit of Sashiko. And one of the things I've seen is like people taking a denim jacket and like on the back of the denim jacket, just take a piece like this that you've just put some pieces down and you just stitch the whole thing together. Just stitch all these pieces on. And like the one that I really liked the best, this was not put right in the middle of the back of the jacket. It's over sort of on the side of the back of the jacket and maybe down a little bit. And I love that look. And I've got a couple of denim jackets of different styles, and I want to do this on both of them. So I probably maybe within the next couple of days, depending on how much time I get to be in my rut. I love being in my rut, but sometimes family, it does come first, you know. And so, but if I do go over to my daughter's, I'm going to have my project bag with me, so I'll have things to do over there. And and so then that, I can't, because I can't be too far away from a needle. I'll probably start sewing her curtains together or something if I don't bring something along to do. And so, but then I looked up, oh my gosh, in my live stream last night, I it was mentioned to me by Carmen something about another kind of a quilting that is done in India and by the sorry people, I think they're called. I might have that word wrong, but I keep turning this because I can only go from right to left. I can't turn my hand around and do the other way. My brain has got its limits. But this other kind of quilting was called Kawandi Quilting, Kawandi. So then right away, as soon as I logged off, well, then I had to move around a little bit to get blood circulating. You got to do that, especially when you get like old and crusty like I am. But so then I come in here and I sat down with my computer and I just looked it up right away because I wanted to see, well, what is this kind of quilting that I've never heard of? And so I watched a couple videos and oh my word, I haven't even done it yet and I'm hooked. I am just hooked on it already, and I know I'm going to love it. And so I'm going to get one of them started. I'll probably get one started today. And this one little lady that I've watched a couple of her videos, and she has went on over there to India, and she says she goes back into the forest where they live, and she has watched them do this kind of quilting, and she says she says I don't talk their language. It's a different language over there. So she's over there, and they are kind of silently showing her how to do this process. And it is absolutely awesome. And it's a lot to do with this same kind of stitching. So the process is like the same thing that I'm doing here. This, like the Boro stitch. A Boro stitch actually at the beginning was a way of um, mending clothing. And so they would put something like this maybe on your knee of your blue jeans was all broken. If it was you wore a hole, then they would do something like this over the top, and over the top or over the bottom of the hole in your breeches, and they would do this kind of a stitch, this kind of a process to mend that hole. Well, over the years, it has turned into an art process now, and a lot of people are doing this artistically. They do this kind of thing, and actually come up with art, with a form of art. Now, this one here, I am working on both sides. I'm working on both sides of this as I go. So, and my stitches aren't all straight. Some of them I'll go up and down, and some go out left to right, and they're not all straight, they're all crooked, and that's what I like. I can't get all that perfectness done in my stuff. And so I just keep stitching until the pieces are stitched on. And some of them I stay just on the patch, and then some, like this one, I've been going a lot off the patch, and so the stitching goes farther than the patch. And see, when you're doing something with no rules, then you just make your own rules. You just find the main idea of what you're doing, and then just go with it, and you just keep on keeping on. And you think about it, and you think, well, some people need to have directions and a pattern, but you don't need that. When I'm trying to do this with my left hand, you don't need directions and a pattern. In fact, if you have a pattern, then you feel like you got to follow that pattern just perfectly, and if you don't, then it's not going to be right, and then you get discouraged when it's not just right, and then happiness just kind of goes out the window. And so you don't want happiness to disappear when you're doing something artful. And this is an artful process right here. There was a time in my life when I didn't let myself call any of my crafting art. And then I decided, well, no, I can call it art because it is art. And so, and this is, quilting. There's been so much quilting done in the world in over the centuries, and oh my gosh, some of the old quilts are absolutely gorgeous. But there had to be somebody that just followed their heart before there was even a recipe, pattern, So, like right now, I want to get down here an inch down here, so I'm just going to stitch this down sidewards down there so I can get where I need to go, and there's where I need to go right there. And so so what you're doing is you're creating your own pattern. You may not follow that same pattern ever again, but you're creating your own pattern, so it's still a pattern. And so, like this one here, I had that heart. That was a piece that was in a bundle of scraps I got, and it was already a heart, so I just took that heart, and then I just added some pieces on top of it, and around it, just to make it what I call to be a little fancy, a a little fancy because we're going for fancy here. But these, and you can do these in a large piece, or you can do a little tiny small piece. And what's nice about doing a little small piece, if you're making a journal or you're making a greeting card or something similar to that, you can take a small piece, work on a, like this one here is something that I just had pieced together a bunch of small pieces of different fabric on the sewing machine, not seaming them on, just overlapping the fabrics with raw edges, and I just stitched them on with a serpentine stitch with the sewing machine. And then I just started Boro stitching across. Oh, I had a piece of 10 by 10, I think it was, and then I folded it in half because this here piece was a big piece on there. And then I just started the stitching across. This one, maybe I won't continue with white. I might go on, continue with some different colors. Here is all white, but I may go different color for a while, but I'll go all the way down to the bottom. Or maybe I'll get tired of going this way, and maybe I'll go this way for a while. But it'll be all covered up with stitches. Then this piece here maybe I would use it as a page in a journal, add it to a journal page, or it could be put to the cover of the journal, or it may just get put to a stack of things. I have a stack. Well, maybe it run away. Oh, like here, I have a stack. This is like just a stack. And I got different squares on this stack that I've done in different ways. And that's where that one ended, right there. See? And this can add to my stack. And then this one here, I was playing with pieces. I just had that piece of fabric, and I added more fabric. And then I made this train by just cutting out pieces. There's lace on there, there's different fabrics on there, and then I did stitching all the way around the pieces. Looks like I first put the background, the green and the blue for the sky and the green for the ground, and I put that on and I stitched that on the sewing machine. But then I started adding these little pieces. Oh yeah, those are on with sewing machine too. But then I went around with a needle and thread, and I just went all the way around. This has got those little tiny beads, those little flat tube looking beads all the way around it. And then I put just stitching. Again, this in and out Boro stitching. I went all the way around on that one. This one here is just it's all done on the machine. But I do things like this. I have these pieces that don't match or don't go together, but they go together because they're together. So that proves they go together. And I just have them stitched on. And these are little pieces that I've just got here. I don't know what I'm going to do with them and I don't have to know what I'm going to do with them. I can, this got a pretty piece of velvet on there. And just a bunch of squares that I just take. I take a piece, and I think these are maybe 8" by 8" squares, and then I just start laying over them pieces. I could take this piece and I could cut this right in half again or something, and I could put that on as part of a sashiko art project, like on the back of a jacket like I was talking about, and then just do the sashiko stitching, add this to it using the Boro stitching, or the in and out with a string, in and out with a string. And you could use any kind of string. I got this roll of, well, I've almost used this all up, of, it was just white crochet cotton. I use that for string. And then I've got this one here. It's a little lighter weight, but it's still white. Or you could use thread, use anything. And so, but But I've got a few of these just squares that I've put together that is just fun. I just sit there with the sewing machine and then I put them together. But this is just a piece of fabric now that I can use to make to do anything with. And this one's a little bit. This is a 10 by 10 on this one. I made a bunch of these ones once and put them all together and made a rag quilt out of them. And this one here, I used a lot of that shiny fabric, whatever you call that stuff, and I can't think of it right now. But I used a lot of that shiny fabric, and then I did some more, quilted it together on the sewing machine. But then I come here and I built a house with just Boro stitching and yarn, and I made the little house and put a little door on there, and then I put these two ladies singing. I just cut them out of a piece of fabric, and they're stitched on there, and they look just beautiful. And then I wrote my word hope. Hope is like my favorite word these days. Hope. And I was saying on my live stream too how my grandson and I were talking. We get into these deep conversations sometimes, and we were talking about the differences between hope and prayer. And we decided between ourselves, and we are pretty intelligent people, I'm telling you, that hope and prayer are pretty much the same thing. Because especially for someone who hasn't spent a lot of time church, in religion kind of thing, then if you haven't spent a lot of time in a religious kind of setting, hope is almost easier to understand than prayer, and it is so much side by side exactly the same. And you can say I hope you feel better soon, to somebody who's got the flu. I hope you feel better soon. You can say that in any country of the world, any place on the planet. You can say, I hope you feel better soon. And those words is all you have to say. Now, a lot of people will say, I don't know how to pray. And, if they haven't been in a religious type of setting, I don't know how to pray. And that's very understandable, because I was there too. In fact, even I'm still there right now, and I've spent a lot of time in church. I don't go anymore. I'm not able, and so I would like to go to a church service now and again. And what I've always liked is go this church one Sunday, and then that next church and another Sunday, and a different church on another Sunday, and get so many different perspectives. But hope is something everybody in the world understands. And when you say, I hope you get better, then how is that different than a prayer? In my humble opinion, it's the same thing, because you're sending your prayer out, or you're sending your hope out. And the same place your prayer goes, your hope goes. But your hope is just so much more understandable to a lot of people. Now, I know a lot of people can pray, and I said this last night in my live stream, was because I kind of got on the same subject, and I said, that even though I know what prayer is, I know how to pray. I know how I pray. and I know what prayer means to me, and I know how to pray in my version of prayer. But like when I was going to church, and a lot of times, I was going to women's Bible study. I would go to Sunday schools broke up into the women's class, the men's class, the married people class, the unmarried people's class. It's just broken up into all these different classes. But and so then, especially if I'm in the women's class, then they'd say, um, Mrs. Smith, would you open in prayer for us today? And they'd say, Mrs. Jones, would you close in prayer for us today? And then I'd hear these ladies pray, and they just sounded like they had something perfect memorized. It just sounded, I can't do that. I don't know I don't know how to come up with hedges of protection and those kind of words. I just can't do that. I just know regular words and regular phrases. So I always just said, oh, please, Lord, don't let them call on me. I can't be doing that. Praying out loud, I just am not, I don't know them words. I would say that to myself. And so most of the time they didn't call on me because I said that little prayer to myself. And and then but then every once in a while I would get called on. Miss Brewer, Sister Brewer, would you close in prayer for us today? They didn't warn you ahead of time. They just up and said it. And so, and then there I would be, and my knees would turn to rubber as I'm a standing there, and everybody's waiting for something to spill out of my mouth. And something did always spill out of my mouth, but it wasn't very long, and it wasn't very loud, and and it was just regular talk. And so prayer was confusing always to me. Is I knew how to pray for myself. I mean, pray for myself. I pray for others by myself. And in and I would do that. But I can do that on my own. But it's like I'm talking to God on a telephone. I say, "Hello, are you there? Are you busy? Do you have time for me?" That kind of thing. And but hope is something that everybody can do. This hope is said different ways in different languages. It's pronounced different in if you're Finnish or French or Spanish or whatever you speak. And it might sound different, but it's still hope. And if you say, I hope you feel better soon, whatever language you're saying it. It's not, it's so simple. Well, anyway, boy, am I on a rant there. That's not a rant. But anyway, I love that word. And this one, I made this a couple years ago, probably this piece. And it's just regular. It's just now that I've come up with how many differences are there between hope and prayer. But anyway, then this is a piece this is slashing that I did on this piece because I sewed on the, this one I haven't washed yet. I got it, every bit is all slashed, but I haven't run it through the washing machine yet. In fact, it looks like I could do some more slashing on here because I got like 5 layers of fabric, or 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric here. So, and then I got it sewn into squares, and then I do the slashing where every piece gets cut 4 ways or 2 ways, cross in a slash. When I wash this, though, when I put it in the washing machine, all these little pieces there will fray apart, and that's going to look real pretty. I did this one too. This is in like a Halloween print, and I guess that one's not done either. See, so I might feel like doing something like this one day, just make a couple, and then I just put it in my stack, and my stack keeps getting bigger. This one I was doing just some crazy quilting, which I started in the center with this little dog. And then, so this one starts in the center and you work out. On this new one, this Kawandi Quilting, you start at the edge and work in. So I'm excited to get started on that. But so this one, and this one is a double-sided quilt piece. I've been doing a lot of double-sided quilt pieces lately, and because and then I'll put them together into something. I've put a few of them together like this already, and in my house I got them all over, like hanging on the backs of chairs and stuff, just because I don't make any particular thing out of them. And so, but like now, if I take this one, oh, this one's not my stack yet, but if I take this and then I take another piece, I'll just lay it across the top there. I don't even put a seam, and then I'll take and stitch it. Just put a crazy quilt, a crazy stitch right across there to put those two together. And I wouldn't be afraid to put these two together like this. No, and then maybe have 6 more squares and have another little throw that I can throw on the back of a chair. And so, oh, then this is just a quilt piece that I've got. Well, I crazy quilted that one, so that's all done with seams. That's got all the 1/4 inch seams, quarter-ish seams, and oh, that one there is too. It's just, and I just keep stacking them up. Just, I don't have to have a reason. Okay, this one here now, I've taken a few squares here and put this together. And so I got so many things. Like this one here, I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces of crazy quilted, but then the same size, I've got some cute little pieces of fabric. They're just cute. They're just cute. So these are plain fabrics right here. And so, and I'll continue working on that one too, doing something to it. You don't have to know what you're doing to it. And then you just put it up there on your stack, and you just come up with a stack full of stuff. And then someday you just like I just did, you just kind of, and this isn't my only stack. I got more stacks. I got stacks and mountains everywhere. And so, but see, you can do that. You can just do that. You don't have to have anything in particular, because see, I might work on this for 2 or 3 days, and then I might fold it up and put it away, and then maybe in next month I might use it again for 2 or 3 days. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't have to know. Nobody has to know. It's like my secret life. My life is unfinished. It started about 72 years ago, but it's unfinished because I got more years to go, and so I got plenty of time to work on these things. And if I don't finish them by the time I get to the end of my life, well, I don't know. They'll just be there somewhere. They'll end up somewhere. I don't know. Hopefully not in the landfill. I hope somebody gives them at least to a thrift shop or a creative reuse shop or something like that, where somebody else can continue doing nothing to them. And so, but this is just this little Boro Stitching mindless. Some people say they call this just mindless. You just kind of, but you can be doing this, and you can still be thinking about, you can do this while you're writing your grocery list. Have your little grocery list over there sitting on the side, and be planning out your menu for the week or something. If you do that, I used to do that. Oh my God, I used to do that. My menu was planned as I wrote my grocery list, and Friday night it was a family outing to go to the grocery store. All the kids were here going grocery shopping tonight. It's a family outing. But anyway, see, now I used up all that thread. I don't know why I got that blank spot in the middle right there without any stitches on it. I don't know how that happened. Maybe I'll stick another piece of fabric right there. Or maybe I'll just put a bunch of stitches going this way. That's probably what I'll do. I'll probably do that. Well, it's been 34 minutes, so I'm going to hang up for now. But you can see here, I'm doing this side. And so I've got like this piece here I worked on that piece there. And I worked on this piece here. But I got a lot of space to add more stitching to. And you can do the stitching without a patch. You don't have to even put a patch here, because now like this, I got a patch on the other side so you can see the stitching through here, because see, I do the other side too. There's a patch on the other side. that I put there. And see there, when you look at this side, you can see the back. You can see the stitching here. You can see stitching over here and here. So I might put some fabric in here and put some color right there and stitch that all on. And then the stitching I'll show on the other side in that blank space right there between these two patches. That might be what I'll do. But I think that this is pretty. I like this. It feels good too. When you do something like this, there's so much texture as well in it. But I think today, I don't know, I can think this morning what I'm going to do, because it's, what time is it? It's 5:12 here a.m. I woke up quite early. I don't sleep long ever anymore at one time. I sleep a lot of times through the day, but never long through any of the times. And it's okay, I'm retired. I don't even need to have no alarm clock or nothing. And so it's all good. It's all good like that. So I'm going to just find us something to read here. Coming up on another holiday weekend. Memorial Day is on Monday. Memorial Day. But anyway, this here is one of my most favorite books to read from. And I've had this book for a while. It was sent to me. I think this was sent to me when I first started YouTubing. I didn't even know what Happy Meals were. And I get stuff in the mail. I thought, why are people sending me this stuff? I just couldn't figure. People were sending me stuff. And this was sent to me by Cindy Utter. I wrote her name here. She sent me that. And that was way at the beginning when I first started any YouTubes. It's been some long time ago. And she sent me this, and it came to me at a time that I really needed to read this book. And so I've been reading it page by page. Whatever page I open to, I usually just let the book fall open. Or I'll go here and I'll think, oops, I haven't read right here for a while. Ooh, this is a long one. This is a long one. But I just read it. And this is written for words of hope and encouragement for someone living with a chronic illness. So many of us are living with a chronic illness, but we don't want that chronic illness to take over our life. We want our life to live over that chronic illness. So you are stronger than you know. And so this is put out by Blue Mountain Arts. It's a collection, and which you can get some awful wonderful books. Awful wonderful. Boy, that's an oxymoron, isn't it? You can get some really good books from there. I gotta have me a piece of paper to use like for a bookmark. This was a card. This was a card that I got from Penny. She wrote, this has been a while I've had this. She says, these monkeys remind me of us. A bit worn out with a few pieces missing, but still upright. Consider yourself hugged, Penny. And so she sent me that. I love that image. But here it says, to all of us, to all those of us. Gosh, I am getting so dyslexicer. I've always been dyslexic, but I am dyslexicer as I get older. Okay. Sometimes I will absolutely look at the last word of a sentence and read it backwards, and I don't know why. I guess I want the punchline before I don't know why I do that either. Sometimes, yeah, okay, but anyway. To all those of us strapped down by pain and the world's view of us, to all those of us who have been pushed to the very fringes and beyond, so that they are nothing but dust, shot down in mid-flight, to be found too late, ragged of skin and broken. To all those of us whose illness isn't painted on the outside of our bodies, so that it is ignored, argued away, misunderstood. To all those of us whose lives depend to the skin, to the flesh, to the pores, to the eyes, to the mind, to the senses, to the very cells, on the kindness of others or their non-kindness, on the giving of others or their not giving, on the seeing of others or their non-seeing, so that sometimes they barely believe that they are visible. To all those of us who are subject to the mood and the moment of the other, to all those of us whose flesh and nerves are painted raw on the outside of their bodies. And yet to the world their illness is invisible, denied, misunderstood, mistreated. To all those of us whose voices are not heard, for they have no voice, who cannot say your name, who cannot say their own name, who have no speech, who have no words, and there are no words for this place. To all those of us whose hands used to brandish a sword, used to grasp a fountain pen, a paintbrush, and who could transform an empty canvas into a detailed story of shadow and light, delicacy and depth, mood and emotion, or who could lift a bow to a cello and make others cry, whose fingers could turn the stillness of those black and white keys into the wild insanity of jazz, the thumping devotion of gospel, or the heavy weight of Beethoven. And those hands now lie motionless and still by their sides, unable to grasp, unable to reach out, unable to shape, mold, and create, unable to signal even, who once sang from the hilltops and now lie pale because they know no sunshine. May the world turn around for us. May the world turn around for us. May the world turn around for us. Somehow. Do you have goosebumps? I don't think I've read this one before. I think this is the first time I've read this one. This was written by Wendy Stern, and I have got goosebumps reading this because to all those of us, you know, like I'm 72, and I oftentimes think about the things I used to be able to do, and I can't do them anymore. But I can do something anymore. I can do some things. I can do some things. And then when they talk about, you know, if you see somebody with a wheelchair or somebody that's got a peg leg or somebody that's, you know, you can see their illness on the outside and they think, oh my goodness, bless you, you know. And that's good, that's good. But there's so many of us, to all those of us who have those invisible problems that you can't see. You got invisible. They might be emotional. They might be physical. They might be so many different problems, but they're chronic. They are there. They're all the time. You might be in chronic pain. I have heard people say, "Oh, why is that person parked in a handicapped parking spot when there's real handicapped people out there?" But you don't know if you can't see that handicap on the outside, but that handicap is there. And that person has got a reason for being parked in that handicapped parking place. And 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 we don't know what that person's handicap is. But if that person didn't have a handicap, that person wouldn't have a handicap sticker to hang in his car to put on his license plate. And because they have got something, there's something, they have a chronic illness of some kind. Gosh, am I on a soapbox this morning or what? But you are stronger than you know. And if your chronic problem is not something that shows on the outside, but you know it's on the inside, and people just don't understand, they just don't get it. But you have that problem. Just because you don't complain on a daily basis doesn't mean that you're struggling. It doesn't mean you're not struggling. You're just not voicing it out. Like an example, my daughter, who is a very sick girl right now, She's a very sick girl right now, but she's getting herself better. I did not know how sick she was because she just never complained. I knew she was losing a lot of weight. I knew that. I knew she's getting back to her skinny. But she's always goes on these fad diets. So I've just figured she's on another fad diet. I just figured that's why she's getting so skinny. I didn't know it's that she could not hold food on her stomach. And because she was sick, this girl was sick, and she never complained to me. She never complained. I kind of wish she did, because then I could send out hope, and I could send out prayers, and I could just something. But there's a lot of people that just do not complain. I didn't know till she come to me last week, and she goes, "Mom, I got to tell you, I have ovarian cancer." And I thought she was kidding. I thought that's not nothing to kid about. But she never. So we do not know. So I knew she was losing weight. That's all I knew. That's because I could see it. But she was still going to work regular. She was taking care of Jeffrey regular. She's doing all of this regular. But some of us just don't. We don't share that with other people. And it's not that you have to do, but it is something that a problem shared is a problem halved. I have heard that, and it is true. And I know myself sometimes when I feel like when I talk to somebody about my problems seem to be less. And so I do try to talk more now about my problems than I did in the past. I kept everything inside of me. So if you have a problem and it's inside of you, you need to talk to somebody. You need to talk to somebody and share that problem. Share it. Share it. It's just better that way. It's just better that way. And mamas need to know, especially with their children. And let your children know if they don't want to listen to you, let them know that your knees hurt every day. Let them know that. Don't tell them you're just fine when you're not. Just because you don't want them to worry. Okay, I ask God to watch over each and every one of you. Every step you take, every move you make. Keep you safe, keep you secure, keep you happy, healthy, humble. All of those good things. And please relax. Just relax. Relax and do something soothing. And relax. Get that tension out of your shoulders and out of your neck. That's where the tension usually goes, mostly shoulders and your neck. I know that one. Okay. God will watch over you every step you take, every move you make, and I will see you on the next video. God bless and keep you. And here we go. Start my day. God bless.